Hi everyone, First Warn 5 Meteorologist Melissa Meeder here on our Tuesday. It is 8:07 a.m. and I have the latest details on the First Warn weather day that is in place for today. So what we're expecting is a few waves of rain, rumbles, and the potential for severe weather as we go through the day today. But the main threat for severe storms is going to be through the overnight. So I've got what you need to know and when we could see our kind of most dangerous kind of storm activity set up today, and then how to prepare. So really, we're going to get started with the waves. There's going to be several waves that come into play today, generally 3 if we're going to be specific. So the very first wave, that's actually this morning. However, that's not really coming to fruition a whole lot due to, we'll explain it in just a second when I show radar. But for Tuesday, for today, that First Warn weather day, the first round, that is going to come in for the morning hours. It's pretty spotty. I think best case scenario is that it would be scattered. I say best case scenario because all of the activity that happens today will help kind of hinder activity once we go into tonight. So this morning, spotty to scattered rain will be possible. I don't think we see any really thunderstorm activity, no severe threat for your morning. By this afternoon, we introduce the chance for some rain and thunderstorm activity. Some of that thunderstorm activity has potential to be strong to severe. However, the highest severe threat is going to be tonight. So we're watching tonight very closely. Most of us, if not all of us, are going to be sleeping during this time frame when these strong to severe storms are expected to move in. So with that being said, because we're going to be sleeping, it's going to be at night. Make sure you have several ways to receive weather alerts, as well as have your phone charged at least a little bit before you go to bed. So let's go through each round. The first round being right now. However, I mentioned entirely panning out because these rain and thunderstorm activity, if you look off towards a kind of wider view, you can see there's a lot going on towards Emporia and Independence, back towards Kansas, but it's pretty much decaying and dissipating as it gets here. So up towards the northwest, towards Maryville, St. Joseph, Easton, they've seen some spotty rain today, but we and the metro and really the rest of us haven't seen much. Now, at this time, we were expecting it to have pushed at least a little bit closer into kind of the state line area. As you could see, by 8 o'clock, models technically have this activity there. I think the best case scenario for what's to happen, and by best case I mean what will likely happen, is it's going to be pretty spotty in nature. It's not going to look as widespread as this. It's going to be pretty spotty. We're still not expecting this to be severe. However, as I mentioned, I think this is a little bit too scattered and widespread from what we are going to see this morning, especially how it's panned out over the last couple of hours. So that will go on probably at least until noon. So some spotty activity, light rain activity. Once we get into the kind of 1 o'clock time frame, that's when we get into round number 2 or wave number 2. This wave brings more scattered rain, however, now introduces better chances to see thunderstorm activity. So as we kind of walk through that, we're spotty to scattered as well. But if you look off towards the northwest and northeast, you see some rain and thunderstorm activity starting to bubble up. There's a very low end severe threat, and by that I mean the threat is lower than tonight, but there is still the potential to see some of those strong to severe storms as we go into the kind of peak heating of the day today. Something I will also note is that if we really don't see much activity from the first wave, and we see some breakage in cloud cover, that is going to help aid the fuel needed for rain and thunderstorms later on in the day. So best case scenario, if we want to try to lessen our chances for severe weather, was to have kind of more activity this morning and then eventually see, cloudy conditions hanging around. That's not really what we're seeing at this point. It's only 8 o'clock this morning. I think if we still get a couple hours of some rain showers into the area, it would help that. However, that's not really what we're seeing right now. So it's something we're going to watch very carefully as this kind of system unfolds over the course of the next 24 hours. Once we get into the evening, as I'd mentioned, some of those may be kind of strong to severe. Once 9 o'clock rolls around, that second wave is done. Now we're setting up for the third wave. That third wave is expected to be the kind of strongest wave out of all of them, specifically because we're more likely to see rain and thunderstorm activity, but there also has the greatest threat for severe storm potential. So for this evening into the overnight, all modes of severe weather will be possible. Damaging winds, hail are the primary threats. A low tornado threat, but an isolated tornado spin up is going to be possible, especially if we see something called a bowing segment, a bow echo that moves through the area. Usually on the leading edge of those, we could get tornadoes to spin up. Once again, this is going to be while we're sleeping, so make sure you have several ways to receive alerts through the night tonight. Heavy rain will be possible as well, mainly through the overnight. Specifically, we have a level 2 out of 5 risk highlighted in yellow for portions of the kind of Kansas City KCMO metro, more KCK metro starting to see that level 3 out of 5 risk. Level 3 out of 5 is the higher risk in our area, mainly towards the southwest. That risk brings the better chance to see rain and storm activity that is severe due to the levels. So better chances to see strong to severe storms in the level 3 area versus the level 2. Now let's get into tonight. After 8, 9 o'clock, things are quiet. And then by 10 o'clock, we start to see rain and storms build into the area. These continue to lift up towards the northeast. By 3 a.m., we've got generally a cluster. We see this activity lift up towards the northeast through the rest of the overnight and into Wednesday morning. So here we are at 7 a.m. on Wednesday. So anybody that is an early commuter, know that rain and storms are going to be around. The thing with this is we're likely going to see by Wednesday morning these storms starting to decay a little bit. The atmosphere is not going to be as conducive to have severe weather early tomorrow morning. So still the potential for strong to severe storms by 7 o'clock in the morning. However, lesser potential compared to what we're expecting through the kind of heart of the overnight. So once we get into noon, it continues to lift up towards the northeast, but as you can see, the rain is not done in our area. The severe weather threat will start to diminish, but even into Wednesday early afternoon, we still see rain and thunderstorm activity around. I mentioned that threat will decrease, and really it has a lower severe threat compared to today. We've got a level 1 out of 5 risk highlighted in the metro from Ottawa up towards Chillicothe, down towards the southwest. We have places like Warrensburg, Sedalia, Butler in the level 2 out of 5 risk. There is a caveat with this, especially because the overnight storms moving through, that may kind of lower or kind of hinder the severe threat that some of us could see on Wednesday. Generally, storms are going to push out and then bring that activity, that strong to severe storm potential, down towards central Missouri at that point. Central Missouri is where we kind of see the better chance for severe storms tomorrow. I mentioned heavy rainfall potential still possible through the overnight tonight. Areas of 1 to even 3 inches are possible. It looks like the southeast maybe not getting that much. There's going to be a little bit of a swath, especially where certain things set up. I don't think it's going to be entirely widespread that we all get 1 to 3 inches. Some areas may be getting under an inch, but still with the possibility of heavy rainfall, flooding is also a concern that we have through the night and into tomorrow morning. Right now, things are fairly quiet. As I mentioned, there's a little bit of rain out there. However, we're around 70 right now in Kansas City. It's 69 in Lawrence. Some people are out there golfing, and I think you're going to do that. It's the best time to do it this morning, probably not later on in the day. So once we get to 8 o'clock, I still give us the chance for some spotty activity, or I should say we are already at 8 o'clock. And then once we get to about 11, we're in the upper 70s. We go into the 80s once we get into about 5 o'clock. But as you can see, kind of rounds of rain and storms. Now, I'm going to show you another graphic because I think this does a good job of explaining the rounds and the kind of timing versus walking all the way through it with our First One 5 future radar. So here we are. By 10 o'clock, 40% chance. Maybe we see a little bit more spotty activity rather than scattered, but it's going to be scattered rain. Not expecting much out of this. We get a lull. The next round sets up. We see a few storms kind of in the kind of afternoon to early evening time frame. That may be strong to severe. And then we go into the overnight, which we just get a little bit of a sneak peek of it here, but that's when we see that higher risk, higher severe risk through the overnight hours. So make sure to have several ways to receive alerts over the next 24 hours because we do have that potential for severe storms, especially when most of us are going to be sleeping. Taking a look at the 7-day forecast, we've got that first warm weather day today. The rain and thunderstorm activity does linger into your morning commute tomorrow. That's why we have that first warn in place on Wednesday, mainly in the morning. And then we start to see those chances dwindle off throughout the day. But today and tomorrow is seasonally cool. It's only 82 today. It may not even get there if we continue to be very cloudy. I think it's cooler today. The cloud cover, the waves of rain, that's going to hinder those kind of warm temperatures like we saw yesterday. We'll still be around 80 once we get to Wednesday, and then we hit the ground running. It's going to be getting hot, and it's going to be getting humid. 88 for your Thursday. Friday, we're around 90. Saturday and Sunday becomes breezy. However, they also become humid. So while temperatures are in the lower 90s, feels like temperatures in the triple digits will be possible. That also continues on into Monday too. So we've got a bit of a heat wave on the way after these rain and storms move through, but things through the rest of the week generally quiet down, and we're expecting just really hot and muggy conditions out there. So once again, I hope everybody has several ways to receive alerts. Stay safe. Continue checking in with us, as we will with you through the course of the day today, to see how things unfold. So I hope everybody has a great day and stays safe.